All righty. How's it going, everyone? Blockchain team, December 14th. Let's go ahead and proceed to do the testnet check-in. So saw that the Xenon miner just crashed a couple hours ago.
It was actually over the weekend, I think, maybe yesterday. And then before that, on Saturday, I think the follower node that the sidecar is using also crashed for a different reason. So I think Hank has opened an issue, which we can see when we review the board. I think he was issuing a specific query with an unconfirmed chain tip parameter. So hopefully that's a easy fix. And then the Xenon miner crash, we had the logs. I think Aaron commented that it's maybe a similar issue that we had seen 2 weeks ago with the Bitcoin reorg, but the fix is in Next, which hasn't been deployed yet, so we wouldn't know for sure, but we can validate at least looking at the logs. And then, yeah, I think we discussed on Friday, we just need to do a reset because until then, I think we're still plagued by the issues with the faucet. So I think we just do a chain reset with all of these fixes in, get Next merge into master, and then kind of reassess where we are.
Sounds good. I can tell you the tip fix that Hank pointed out is fixed in Next as well.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we'll do this later today. Then I take it. Testnet reset.
Yeah. And I would say we should probably just go through the board and then maybe come back to that doc if we need to. At this point, probably the board is more complete.
The main net blocking work items.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not quite sure what you're saying. The board.
Oh, I was saying that we should just review the board and then come back to the doc. I think the doc is probably less complete than the board at this point. So we should just start with reviewing the board is what I'm suggesting.
Okay, we can do that. Cool. Let's look at review in progress then. Contract voting contract integration. I left comments on this. Ludo did as well. Aaron, how do you feel about this right now?
I think that there's like one comment that I think still sort of needs to be addressed. So right now, the cost vote integration stuff, the code itself just kind of assumes that it's only invoked at the start of a block, which is the case. Like the limited cost tracker is only ever instantiated at the start of a block. Mm-hmm. But we probably should figure out some sort of assertion to include there so that we can be positively sure that that's always the case.
Sorry, is there a comment on here somewhere for this?
I think that is the response to that thread right there.
Oh, this one right here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, like I don't know, like I was actually satisfied by this because like I think it's pretty clear from the code that yeah, cost functions cannot take effect until they are loaded again in the next block connection.
Okay.
But if you want to add a test for that, that's fine too. Like I won't say no to more testing.
Yeah, well, not necessarily even a test. Like I want to add an assertion to the instantiation of the limited cost tracker that causes the node to panic if it's instantiated in the middle of a block.
Ah, yes, that's a good idea. Let's go ahead and do that.
Cool.
Let's see, I'll just add that right here then. All right. Cost function voting contract. This is the same PR or related, I guess. There's a separate PR issue for this somewhere.
But yeah, and I think it's also merged.
Cool.
Yeah, that's done.
Great job on that, Reed.
Thank you.
Stacks v1 to v2 upgrade, embed stacks chain state.txt in stacks 2.0. through include string?
I think it's
Uh,
merged.
We can
That's
close.
merged. Sorry, I got some crosstalk there. What's up?
Yeah, we can close this now. It's merged.
Excellent.
How come these issues are not getting closed by themselves? Are the PRs not linking to the issues?
I think that it doesn't auto close a linked issue unless you merge to master.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
All right.
So these are merged
Speaking-
into next.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the BNS stuff, that's all merged now, right? We can move this over to review or approved.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, super excited to test that out on the test net. This merge too, Aaron, the cost functions, limited cost function for arithmetic operations.
It's part of that same PR, that integration PR.
Great. So that's not quite merged yet, but it will be soon.
Yeah.
Map placeholder addresses.
Still missing Binance.
Okay. Do we have a plan in place for people who don't get us their addresses before mainnet?
We have everyone but Binance.
Oh, great. Okay. So just Binance. Okay.
Yeah. So I think from this team's perspective, it's not something that we need to worry about.
Yeah. Like how we
By
get that-
tomorrow, we will have 2 sets of addresses. So from somewhere.
All right. Sounds good. Chainstate.txt, Genesis data hash, and V2 info. I think I saw a PR for this. Is this merged?
Yep.
Excellent. And we're booking it on this thing. Commit a production chainstate.txt.
Yep, just merged.
Awesome. This didn't quite find its way over. Automation rules. I guess this is just a meta issue or something. I don't know what that is. So I'm skipping it.
Yeah, I think that's
That's how the board gets populated, so we can we can ignore it.
Okay.
I think we've never made it past, so we maybe don't see that often, but it's always been there.
Ha! Alrighty. We're unburying ourselves here. Ludo, I saw a PR for this. Thank you for working on this. I really appreciate it. Is it ready for comments yet, or is it still a draft?
I think, let me check the test, but I think it's ready for comment.
Cool. I'll take a look today. All right. So I broke this issue here. Absent POX anchors should be forkable into 2 other issues, one of which needs to be done before the feature freeze, and that is to make it so that the the prepare phase for every reward cycle is always proof of burn. I have the code working. I'm just making sure that the tests pass. There's quite a few that broke in some very interesting ways. So I just need to make sure that that gets fixed, and I should have a PR for that today. The remaining work, I'll try to get that done before mainnet launch, but it's obviously not going to happen by Tuesday. Implement Stacks token unlocking a Genesis block. I think we can move this to approved with the chainstate.txt.
Yeah, I think it's closed. The only thing that's kind of related that's not done, which has its own issue, is emitting events for the locks. But yeah.
Yep. Stacks chain differentiation on Bitcoin testnet. I think we merged this just now, right, with the new magic.
yeah.
Cool.
I have a question around that. Can this also be achieved with the testnet ID? Sorry, not the chain ID.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We should change the chain ID or the or the peer network ID as well. Probably all 3, honestly, just to make sure that the networks don't talk to each other.
Okay, I'm doing it like, yeah, okay. I'm exposing this field in the config right now. It's part of my effort on making the repo mainnet compatible. So yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that you would want to change both.
Yeah.
Because the magic bytes prevent us from reading
Reading.
the block commits from the previous one as like potentially valid.
Yeah.
The network ID, if the topmost bit is set, is a test net.
Mhm.
So we would want to clear the topmost bit. Right now, I think the chain ID we use is like big endian 80000.
Yeah.
So if we just need to clear that top bit and we should be good. I think all zeros, I think, is the Bitcoin chain. So we should do like just 0001 or something like that for the 4 bytes.
Okay.
I'm ambivalent about what the exact value should be, but the topmost bit has to be cleared.
Okay.
Cool. Upgrade cost function based on mining on voting contract. Is this, Aaron? This is the PR you have, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's review in progress. Modification of mining module. Is Pascal on the call?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Cool.
And, I've made some good progress last week because some of the blocks, at least the blocks I generate, can be accepted by the network now.
Sweet.
I think the next thing I need is an integration test because I just do block by block manually on my setup. So, but an integration test would help.
Pascal, do you want to open a draft PR so people can at least start looking at the structure and provide feedback? I think it'll also be useful for Daemon, as they're gearing towards the second phase of the mining competition.
Sure, I can open this maybe tomorrow, or maybe today. I don't know. There's still a lot of testing stuff in there and a lot of extra logs that I wouldn't want. But yeah, sure, I can create the PR.
Cool, thanks.
And I probably need to rebase on next to master because I haven't updated in a while. So this could be
Yeah.
painful.
Yes, yes.
This could be painful. But
Sooner rather than later.
well, I think at this point it probably doesn't matter because the code the branch started from like it was probably 2 or 3 weeks old. So, and then cargo format is also waiting for me. That one I'm not looking forward to, but
Well, there's an automated way to do that. That's what we all use.
This cargo format -- fix.
I'll try it, but we'll see.
The other PR you're working on, Pascal, how's
Yeah, this one I thought we put it in backlog, but no, this one I haven't been focusing on. So
Oh, my bad. Maybe I moved it back. I saw that there is a PR in draft state, and so I
yeah,
just
there's.
moved it over.
I think it's in draft, but well, it says draft, but
Yeah, it is draft.
Yeah.
I just
yeah.
assumed that since a PR exists, that
No,
we have a plan to
I
either push it
just-
forward or
I haven't-
abandon it.
I haven't. The thing is to add a test for the checkpoint to make sure that it works. We can hope it works, but we need the test. So, but I haven't worked on that one. I was focusing on the minor.
Alrighty. Yeah, we'll just put it in the backlog then until you're ready to work more on that. Detecting minor commits in window amid invalid commitments. Aaron, do we have a solution for this now, right?
Yeah, it's like slightly different than what's discussed in the issue.
Okay.
So in the issue, I think that like in your proposal, like you would continue to count the burn of those like would be valid commitments, those would have been valid commitments.
Mhm.
But the problem with doing that is that miners who want to like come in and out can defeat the windowing by like sort of faking would have been valid commits.
Mm.
So the solution just looks at these would have been valid commits and uses them to continue the UTXO chaining so that you don't like lose your connection to valid commits.
Are we using this windowing scheme you proposed here?
I think we should, which also makes the difference between this like much less severe.
All right, let's go ahead and use the simpler one then.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about modifying the block commit op return if that's going to be a pain in the butt. Like this looks.
Well, I think we still need to modify the block commit op return to get the modulus. But it's much simpler if we don't also have to try and validate these like would have been valid commits and just use them for UTXO chaining.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do then.
Yeah, I should have a PR open either today or early tomorrow. Basically, at this point, all I'm doing is testing and updating our existing tests.
So what? I'm not clear what kind of modification you're going to do to the op return code, because I'm using my own now. So
Yeah. So the memo field at the end, this like 1 byte memo field, is going to be instead used to broadcast like the modulo 5 intended burn height for the commit. So you write into the burn commit operation like what burn height you intend this block to be included in.
oh, I see. All right. So
Yeah,
it shouldn't be that big of a deal to add.
right.
Okay.
Because like as a miner, you already know what burn chain block you're trying to get committed in.
Right. Yeah, but you might not get in there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Right,
this is
okay.
just about detecting when the Bitcoin miners like either don't pick up your transaction right away or whatever. So
Got it. So yeah, it should be a fairly simple
yeah.
addition. Okay. Thank you.
So I think we can move these next two issues here, in situ upgrade proposal and in situ VM upgrades without forks, into review or approved. Does that sound
Yeah,
good?
I think so.
Come on, there we go. Awesome. Is there a PR in flight to update SIP 006?
No, not yet. I'll work on that today. Yeah, shouldn't take too long.
Alrighty, if you have to push it back past the 15th, that's fine too. Just
Okay.
as long as it's ready by mainnet, I think is the main concern.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Cool. Allow multiple input size parameters to be passed to cost functions. I think there's a PR for this now.
Yeah, there's an open PR for this. Just waiting for some more review. I think it's good based on some feedback I got from Aaron last week. Yeah.
Okay. Do you need me to take a look at it too?
Sure.
Awesome. Populate bns.clair with data from Stack Genesis during boot up.
Yep. So I just opened this issue today just to break down the previous master issue.
Alrighty. Do you know when we can expect a PR for this?
So just talking to Ludo about this today, and I think Ludo has time to work on it.
Yeah, maybe so. Probably today or tomorrow. Yeah, maybe tomorrow, I think.
Alrighty, sounds good. Emit lockup events for the Genesis block. I think Matt, you mentioned this earlier.
Yep.
All right, cool. There'll be a lot of events.
Yes, there is.
All right. Testnet bug, new issues. Krypton mining node is stopped on local Ubuntu. Restart node seems issue is gone. I think this was just opened yesterday. Has anyone taken a look at this one yet?
Nope, I haven't.
Well, it looks like we got a crash here.
I mean, usually these type of crashes are some issue with the config file. I haven't taken a close look at this person's config file to see if there's anything obvious, but I suspect.
Well, there is a, it looks like it was running and got some sort of thread panic here. Should be obvious where it came from. Oh, interesting. It's happening in the network stack. Okay, I will take a look at that. Name pre-order should pay the namespace owner, but the stacks gets burned instead. Is Marvin on the call?
Nope.
No, I don't think so. So, I mean, This is we've never done this in BNS 1.0. It would happen with Bitcoin, but not with stacks. And right now the stacks are burned. Do we want to revisit this concept of having the names registered pay the namespace creator? Like, I'm ambivalent either way. Like, it doesn't matter to me whether we burn them or pay them. Maybe the question should be like, is there a way for somebody to get paid if they want to get paid but burn otherwise, like just support both operations?
Yeah, I think we could.
Alrighty. You want to follow up there, Ludo?
Sure.
Cool. So this issue is fixed in Next. I encountered the same problem when I was testing. Transaction fees should be credited to miners as part of the block reward. I can't believe we forgot to do this, but yes, Pascal, you're absolutely right. We are not currently paying transaction fees to the miners, and that needs to change.
Yeah, no, I just realized that the other day. Well, we should have at least an issue to make sure we.
Yeah, make sure we get that done. That's important.
Jules, before we move on for 2158, if you're saying it's addressed, can we just move it to, like, can we just close it out so it doesn't keep sitting in the new issues, and make a note that it's addressed in Next?
Sure, let's do that right now. All right. I can go ahead and take this on here. The transaction fees should be credited to miners. Get that merged before tomorrow. Getting conflicting nonce in mempool. I think we fixed this in Next now, right?
We should have. I think this kind of like a two-part fix here. So like one is that our mempool wasn't admitting transactions that it probably should have.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, I think that the faucet needs to be a little bit smarter in cases where it gets conflicting nodes in mempool.
Yep, but this is the core side fix that you merged.
Yes. Yeah.
But isn't that? It's not specific to the faucet. Any app that would just repeatedly put transaction in would need the same logic. So that probably something should be extracted in some library.
Yeah.
Not in the base library, but in the second layer. Or
yeah, I think that the Stacks transaction library tries to do something. Like if it gets a bad nonces return, like I think it tries to use the suggestion.
It will query the confirmed chain tip for the account nonce to use. I think the faucet logic itself will look at any error message returned and try to increment from there. But I don't know how. Again, I don't know precisely how smart it is at dealing with things like forks. We would want to investigate this more, I think, on the API side. But the important question here is, can we close this issue?
Well, I would say let's test it out first before we close it. But yeah, we can move it to, like, review in progress or review approved even.
Sure. Sorry. 1 second. DeWalker, do you want to just take over for 30 seconds? I just have to go.
Sure.
Thanks.
Sure. All right. Let's see. Some of these are now getting quite old. So maybe let's just talk through. We'll discuss the two Atlas issues together. Let's just talk through 2140. This came from a comment. Is there any reason to just not just make this change? And I'm talking about 2140.
Yeah. So yes, I think that there's the biggest thing is that the reward cycle calculation or detection uses the first burn height, not the first block mined at height.
Mhm.
And so because of that, I think that there is probably like, it's not a huge amount of code changes required, but like it would touch a ton of different places. And we probably also need to expose like a new constant to Clarity, which is like first block mined.
Mm.
And so it's not trivial, but it's not like a huge project. So
Yeah.
that's where my hesitation is. And then combined with the changes for the proof of burn prepare phase and stuff like that, it would touch all the same parts of the code basically.
Yeah. Maybe then let's think about the converse. I think this came from a discussion. I don't know if this is a real concern of how this interacts with like stacking mid-cycle, if at all there is any interaction. Because if not, then the motivation to do this is not as critical.
Yeah. So I think that the way that it interacts is like you would have blocks that are like more valuable to get mined occurring in the middle of a reward cycle, so that like people who are early in the reward cycle would expect to get maybe more Bitcoin rewards because the miners have like more incentive to mine those blocks.
Yeah, but that's only for this window, right?
Yes.
During which we are giving out the bonus. Like afterwards, it becomes immaterial.
Correct.
I mean, in which case, I'm inclined to just table this issue. Like I think we don't really. There isn't a ton of benefit to doing this.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Actually, we have an icebox column that we have never used, so I'm going to move this over there. Let's see. All right, I will move this while we discuss some of the other issues. Let's talk about these two Atlas ones that are next, 2142 and 2135. Ludo, you want to just go over these? What do you have in mind?
Yes.
Testing in the garbage collection.
Yeah, so this is something that can be done post December 15. And so yeah, the idea is to make it so the nodes are fighting against erosion. So yeah, you could, if the attachments attached to transactions. So let's say you publish a transaction with an attachment. If the transaction is not mined, then the attachment will be living on the node receiving the transaction forever. And so we want to avoid this issue. So yeah, the idea is to garbage collect these attachments not mined. So that's one of the issue, and the other one is just basically writing some tests where we want to stress test the attachment system and make sure that all the attachments are being replicated when there's a load of attachment.
Okay. For some of this testing, like if there is, reasonable automated tests that we could construct, I'm sure the DevOps team will be happy to help out with that as well. So there are ways that we can leverage the DevOps team. We should think about that.
Yeah, definitely. I will talk with Jesse and see where we are with the
test ground stuff.
The test ground stuff, and see if we can play with that.
Yeah, actually, on that note, let me make sure that the DevOps team is on this call. They should have had the invites, but I will double check. I moved one more Atlas issue that was in the column here since we're talking about Atlas. This is 2077. You want to talk through that too? This is the stream attachment inventories and attachments.
You're muted, Ludo.
Yeah. So basically, when you start syncing the attachments, you first need to ask for inventories. And these inventories can get pretty big if, like, depending on the pagination setting, the inventories can be pretty big. And so right now we are building like the inventory and then returning it. And with this improvement, we would be streaming inventories as soon as we can build them. So yeah, that's an optimization.
All right. So let's see, the next couple of them are Jude. So we'll come back to them when Jude is back. Let's go over the few that are afterwards. The additional Xenon adjustment, what is this issue at this point? Ludo, what is this capture?
It's done. Wait. I think it's done, right? What's the issue ID?
It's 2096. Yeah, if it's done, if you can just close it out.
Oh.
And even if it's not done, I would suggest rewording the title so it's more accurate.
Yeah, okay. I reword.
Okay. And then there's 2095, which is, it says refactoring chains coordinator, UX sync watchdog.
Yeah, still in my plate as well.
Okay.
So refactoring.
Is this a pure refactoring issue? Like, is there anything else?
Yeah, it's pure refactoring.
And the refactoring, I mean, it's just sort of a code hygiene thing. Like, what are we getting out of this refactoring?
I think that there's, so the POX sync watchdog is doing a ton of like synchronization and polling work. And so is the chains coordinator. And so while I think that right now there's no bugs in this interaction between these two things, they're both kind of trying to do the same thing. The like code sent on two different processes, both implementing the same synchronization logic, is that there probably is a bug at some point.
Okay.
So this also causes them to step on each other sometimes. So like in a lot of our tests, both items will be waiting for something to occur, and then a timeout triggers one of them and then speeds back up and starts downloading blocks. So I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that, guys.
That's all right.
Where were you guys in the issue stream here?
So we've reviewed, I think, all the way down to, let's see, issue T2095, with the exception of the two that are assigned to you. So 21, we skipped over 2134 and 2132, if you want to talk through them.
Yeah, sure. So 2134 is just a placeholder to document how to query an unconfirmed microblock stream. I can go ahead and just close that as soon as I get the cycles to do so. I just want to make sure that we get through feature freeze first. And sorry, what was the other issue?
2132 is right under it.
Oh, okay. Detect microblock stream forks at any height. More of an issue for the miner itself. So right now, the microblock stream miner will look for opportunities to send poison microblock transactions in the penultimate stream, but it doesn't look arbitrarily far back. It could be made to do so. It's just a placeholder to make sure we get that done at some point. But the chain quality won't suffer if no one does it.
Okay. Then there are these two BNS issues. I think one of them, 1801, is probably, I don't know, I think we should decide like if that's something, that's the direction we want to pursue. It's probably, you know, Stacks 2.1 kind of item. the other one, the determined constants one, I would like to hear from folks, kind of what's outstanding there, and put some timeline on that, whether it's, you know, next week or in 2 weeks, or how do we, what do we need to do to get to some answers for those constants?
Okay, I can actually just address this one really quick here. I think that as long as we can just make sure that you can whitelist who is allowed to register names in the namespace, then you can have a registrar contract. Like that's all we need to do before feature freeze, I think. I can just go ahead and just type it in right here.
And I think Marvin had commented on a related issue around, I think it was sort of the issue where we're talking about allowing the pricing of the namespace to change after namespace reveal. And it sounded like he was saying, you know, he doesn't care about that anymore for at least the app that he's working on. And consequently, I'm assuming that it's not something that he plans to or wants to spend time on, which is what I had asked him last time, and he had said he'll jump on it. So I guess like that's also a question for us. Is that something that we would actually like to see happen?
If we make it so that there's a whitelisted registrar contract that does all the operations on behalf of the users, then it could implement its own pricing scheme.
Yeah.
Sure. But is this a change that we want to try and squeeze in by tomorrow?
I think Ludo is probably the best person to answer that.
I think it's going to be hard because like writing on Clarity became really hard recently with all the changes happening in Clarity. So we need to like refresh the tooling. Like, we need to come up with a new build for Clarity JS SDK, refresh the Clarity repo, and it's like a pain in the ass to work with Clarity with the next branch right now.
Yeah, one of the things I was trying to do when I was trying to test my changes to the BNS contract when I added Element Dove is like you can npm install Clarity JS SDK and then replace the Clarity CLI inside of it with the current build in debug. And that way you should be able to actually run your tests in the like whatever the current branch is.
Was it working? Because I'm pretty sure I tried that approach as well.
For me, it seemed to work. I mean, the tests broke, but most of them ran. Like 85% of them tested positive.
Okay.
I mean, I guess like the real question is, you know, what are the implications of this functionality not being available in Stacks 2.0? And this is something that we add in 2.1.
Well, we could do it at any point, really. All we need to do is make BNS 3.0, or whatever the new version would be. We publish that as a contract, and then we have the new version of BNS use @block so that previously registered names keep resolving. And then we just update our tooling to use that new contract. Like we don't even have to wait till Stacks 2.1. We can do it whenever. Okay.
So there's at least two paths forward, in which case I would say we should just punt this for now. I don't think it makes sense to try and rush it through.
Sounds good. Let's look at the constants.
Yeah, so I think that for this one, we just need to align with product. So yeah, I think it's a conversation with product.
Okay.
Mark, maybe, yeah. So yeah, Mark, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
No, go ahead.
So I think this one right here, the in page size is no longer in Clarity, right?
This one is gone. Yeah.
Yeah. These constants I think need to be at least 10 times bigger, because in the last version of the system, for example, a namespace pre-order could be claimed within 24 hours, as opposed to 10 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Launchability, that's 10 blocks. Like I think that should be like closer to a year. That's what it was in 1.0. Claimability was 24 hours, and grace duration was 1 month about. So 5,000 blocks is what we were using.
Okay. Yeah. Mark, are you okay with these values?
I mean, I was going to say, unless there is a compelling reason from product perspective where we already were thinking about changing these things, we should just default to whatever was present in Stacks 1.0, right?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I'll just type that in right here.
Mark, feel free to chime in if there are strong opinions from product perspective.
Yeah, I've been multitasking, so I'm not following this. I assume not.
That was sort of my suspicion, which is why I wanted to make sure that we talk about it. And I think we have a clear decision. Of course, feel free to chime in like afterwards if we want to change these, but I think we don't need to be blocked on that. I think we can safely use the Stacks 1.0 values.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking for parity more than anything else. So
Okay. I guess this is now reviewer in progress.
I mean, I guess we need to still implement the changes, but yeah.
Well, no, then we should put it in progress then. I thought this was just discussing what the values ought to be. Okay. Anything else in the new issues column? I know we have a few other mainnet blockers in here, like the merging these databases, but they don't necessarily have to happen before tomorrow. So we can just skip them for now, I think.
Yeah, not a feature.
No, bug fix, not a feature. Backlog. I think everything in here is not a feature, except for maybe, oh, interesting. I think this is a dupe. This shouldn't be in backlog. This should be in progress. This will be started today. Yeah, these two can stay here.
And then I guess we just decided to move 2092 out, right? We're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and close this out then.
Or there is an icebox column as well, Jude, if you want to just put it in there for now, and then we can, once we start like a Stacks 2.1 board, we can track this against that if we need to.
I can't drag it over.
It's okay, I'll move it. Yeah, that column is too far right.
I need a bigger screen. That's my problem. Okay. Cool. I think we can move off the board then. Let's take a look at our mainnet blockers. Cost calculation voting contract PR is open. Or is that closed now? Is it just the integration work that has to be done?
Yeah, the contract itself is closed, just integration work.
Sweet. Is there a separate thing for the integration work?
Mm,
I don't believe so. Add that in. Next open issue. This is the separate issue here I mentioned earlier for the anchor block hash dependent on POX fork information. This particular issue, I'll have a PR open and by the end of today, probably in the next couple hours. The change is simple. It's just getting test to pass for making it so that the reward cycles always burn. Once that's in place, then I can work on addressing the rest of this after the 15th. Updating Rust QLite to the latest. This is deferred till after the 15th. It's not started yet. Compatibility with Bitcoin mainnet. I don't think we opened an issue for this. This is the, I propose calling this the Radon testnet, but like it's the testnet that runs on Bitcoin mainnet, but has a different magic. Is this still something we plan to do?
Yeah, I'm working on it right now. Should be able to open a PR today.
Awesome. Initial cost function determination. This is post 15th, so I'm taking it's not started yet. Allow multiple input size parameters to be passed to cost functions. There's a PR for this now, right, Reed?
Yeah, PR open. I think it's number like 2152 or something. Yeah, 2152.
And transaction fees I just added here, thanks to Pascal reminding us. That will be open. I'll have a PR for that today.
Should that PR also implement the that planned rename of fee rate to just fee amount?
I can, if that's what you guys want.
All right. Seems,
It seems trivial. I'll just go ahead and do
yeah,
it.
up to you.
No, I'm fine doing it. Like
Yeah.
renames are not, don't semantically change the code.
Yeah.
Okay, this is post 15th, the busy handler and the crashes that come from that. Graceful exits is also post 15th. Stretch goals. Do we feel like we might have time to tackle these, or are these going to be 2.1 definitively now?
I would say pretty definitively 2.1.
Alrighty. Do you want to talk about testing? 'Cause it seems like we're pretty much on track here. Like it's just PRs open or small issues that'll be done by Tuesday. And then post 15th, we have a few other things to work through. Speaking of post 15th, do we have a plan for re-enabling things like branch coverage?
I don't think we have a plan. But
Okay, so maybe just defer talking about this then. Come back to it next week.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Or maybe we could schedule a meeting for Wednesday or something.
All right.
Like once we're on the other side of, I think the feature deadline, like we should probably talk about like what our next steps are, but I don't want to do it before we get there.
That's probably the best idea. Cool. Ran through mainnet blockers. Any discussion topics? Has everyone? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say not a discussion topic per se, but at least it would be good to just quickly talk through our plans to do a reset for Xenon. So, making sure all the PRs that we want to be merged have been merged, then who's going to merge next into master, and then just ping the DevOps team so we can actually cut a build and do a reset.
Sure, let's go ahead and pull up the PRs. Is there anything that's in flight right now that should make it next before this happens?
I don't think that the cost voting contract integration will be merged. Like, I think we probably want to do a Xenon reset in the next couple hours, right?
Okay.
Like shortly after this meeting. So from my perspective, the contract integration PR probably won't be merged. And we shouldn't try to rush it in. I don't know. What about your PR, Ludo?
Concerning
the token functions.
So it's ready for review. Like we can go with, yeah, I don't know. We can do a YOLO merge if you want, but I don't think it's a good idea. It's yeah, we are manipulating tokens with this function, so I think that we should pay attention.
That's on my turn. Okay, cool. In that case, then I think there's probably none of these open PRs are going to make it into the Xenon reset.
All right, so just merge next into master and cut a build. Okay.
All right, and then once that's happened, that'll only take like a few minutes. So we just let DevOps know then in the next couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the merge will probably trigger some tests, right?
It will, and a build. So I think that next to master, I think it's usually like 45 minutes or something.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
Cool. So Aaron, are you going to do that?
Yeah, I'll open the PR.
Okay.
Thanks, Aaron.
Cool.
Ludo, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I had a question concerning the NFT post conditions. So Pascal made a comment on my PR yesterday, and I did look at the post condition for the NFTs, and so right now, like we have sent or not sent, and I was questioning maybe the semantic, like should it be owned and not owned, or yeah, or owned and transferred, or yeah, I'm not sure about the semantic of the post conditions. Feels a bit maybe weird.
Sure. So the semantics of post conditions are solely focused on who owns what assets at the end of the transaction, as opposed to who received them. I'd be fine with not adding a burn post condition because what really matters at the end of what I think at least really matters at the end of a transaction is like, do I own this? Like, did I send this NFT away from me, or did I not send it? But if it's no longer mine, then whether or not it's burned or who possesses it is less important to me, or at least like I consider like what happens to the asset to be outside the scope of the post conditions.
Yeah, I agree with that, but yeah, so yeah, I guess my question is, should we rename like the NFT post condition to owned instead of sent or not sent?
I have no strong feelings about it. It's as long as it's clear to developers what's happening.
Yeah, okay.
But it's not just us who has to change though. It's going to have to be the Clarity SDK as well.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else?
No.
No.
The board is looking good.
Cool. Cool. Go ahead and stop sharing.
All right.
Stop recording.
See everyone.